On Saturday, January 21st, about 110 people from the North Shire joined an estimated 3,000 other Vermonters who hope to form part of an estimated crowd of about 500,000 people taking part in the Women's March on Washington. All right, well, it's a couple of days later, and we're back here in Manchester, and here in the studio with us today is Stephanie Moffat-Hines from Arlington. And we asked Stephanie to come in to share a little of her reflections about the trip and in the aftermath of it all. Stephanie, what did you make of the trip altogether? Now that you've had a chance to sit back and reflect a little bit about the weekend and everything that happened, what do you make of it all?
Well, I'm still walking on air. I really am. I still feel so rejuvenated. People keep asking me, aren't you exhausted? You must be exhausted. And no, I'm not. I feel better than I have in a long time. And I've had a lot of people come to me and say, thank you so much for going down, or getting emails and all that sort of thing. And I feel like they shouldn't be thanking me. It was a privilege to go. And I'm just so grateful to, Kathleen and Alex and the others who organized it, and Rosalie and everybody who came together. But it was just so important. I really needed this. I think a lot of people did.
That's a sentiment I've heard from a lot of people, that they felt they really needed to act or speak out or do something. That just sitting around and kind of waiting for things to happen just simply wasn't enough.
It wasn't acceptable. Couldn't do it this time. I mean, obviously I'm a woman, but also I am a mother, and I have a mother, and I have grandmothers and others before me who marched in their time. And I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I also have, just as importantly, an 18-year-old son who went with us, and that was great. He wanted to go, and he marched along every step of the way. There were things that were said that by Donald Trump about women, so many things that were so repugnant to me that I knew that I could not just get on Facebook and say something and take the easy way out of just doing that. That's fine. That's one way of participating. But I wanted to stand up and be counted. And I was delighted that my son did too. And my daughter made the poster. And it was just really important to be a part of that, because those things were said. They were said, and they were not taken back. And so I wanted to be a part of that. I also went down because there are other issues that are really important to me. And just one other one I would mention is certainly the environment. It's climate change, and that whole issue is so important to me. I feel like I spend every day working on that issue. And this threat is a threat to all of us. So I don't understand why we don't work together. We have the opportunity to do so much good. And we can do it. There are ways. There are all kinds of ways every day. But the clock is ticking. So that's another reason why I couldn't say, well, I'll stay home today and because I can do this in 4 years or some other time. I don't think that's true. I read a lot of journals and try to be as informed as I can. And for example, the NASA site, and I actually have a couple of friends who are astronauts, and I believe them. I find them very credible. It's an issue we have to pay attention to. So for those two reasons, as well as many others, I really wanted to be down there. And I'm not anti-Republicans. I'm not, for my Republican friends and family members, they know me, and they know that I wouldn't do anything disrespectful. For example, down there, I just found that the atmosphere was incredibly positive for the most part. Now there are those people who, there are occasionally maybe some vulgar slogans or some people who choose obscenities, but that was a very small percentage. And that's not my way. That might be their way, but it wasn't my way. But I found people in general just filled with messages of hope, determination, decency. I saw that a lot. We were chanting, what do we want? Decency. When do we want it? Now. And so civil discourse, honesty, transparency, and those are things that I think people on both sides of the aisle can really relate to. I hardly think there's an issue there, but it certainly needs to be, you need to stand up.
What do you think the next steps are going to be? Is this was this a one-time event? Do you think where okay, 500,000 or so people went down to Washington, converged on Washington from all different parts of the country, made a statement, made an impact? Do you think that that was just going to be it, or
No, that's a good
will
question.
this be something we may see again?
Yeah, well,
the
that would
future?
be my fear if it were a one-time thing. I think it would be for a lot of people. And just to be clear, we are talking about Saturday's marches. I know there was some violence the night before during on the inauguration day, but I don't. We are talking about this this movement, the March on Washington, the Women's March, and as I understand it, there was not one arrest. But anyway, getting back to your question. It would be a shame if we just came together just to feel good, I mean, about ourselves and pat ourselves on the back. That would be ridiculous. Fun, but not only the bare beginning. And that's what I've seen. All of the emails back and forth now, the Facebook pages, all of the ways that people are trying to keep in touch, people that I met, everybody is reminding each other, let this not be just a march, you know. And one of the slogans when we were marching was, today we march, tomorrow we work, or tomorrow we run, or whatever it might be. And I see countless, already I'm seeing people signing up for this, that, and the other. I'm going to a talk tonight up in Wallingford about what to do to address, what we need to do to address some of the changes that are coming down the pike in terms of the climate. No, I don't think it's the end. You know, it would be lovely in a way if it were, like we only needed to do this once. But unfortunately, we will need to keep working on things every day and probably coming together to remind each other. But the thing that I thought was amazing was not only were there so many people in D.C., I knew there were going to be a lot of people, but that was a lot of people. And I remember being a little bit nervous before going down, worrying about, you know, mobs and what that might be like. I never felt unsafe. It was absolutely fantastic, but an ocean of people in every direction. We never even got to the rally. My son and I and the people that we were with, we never actually got to the rally because there were so many people we couldn't get to it. But so we spilled out into the mall, which was full, and were participating in all of the activities there, and then spilled out into the, you know, there were people in the street, and then we all just started moving and started marching, and that was not even the march that left the rally a few hours later, and it was all, I mean, it was just unbelievable. But that's great, and when we came back, that was wonderful, and we had lots of conversation, but when we got on the bus, a couple of things happened. We lost the ability to use our phones, you know, the internet throughout the day because there were just too many people. The system couldn't handle it. But when we got on the bus and we turned on our phones, we started to see all these marches all over the place. I mean, I'm still so moved by this. All over the country, all over the world. In some states, you'd think, okay, so there was a big march in one city. Then you'd find out that all of its cities had major marches. And in almost every case, more people than anybody expected. You know, and we know this now. I mean, in Montpelier alone, we thought there'd be, what, 1,500, 2,000, and it was, by anybody's account, about 15,000 or more. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to see that all over the world, to see, you know, some people, and this kind of got me, but there were women in France marching for us. You know, les droits des femmes américaines. They were marching for us. I never thought anybody needed to march for American women. You know, that, I don't know, it was a real kind of a switch.
Maybe we can even give ourselves a name.
Yes. A week later, about 30 people gathered at the roundabout in Manchester to continue expressing concerns about the direction the new administration was taking. Since the Women's March on January 21st, a flurry of executive orders have been issued from the White House, covering several areas, including extending a wall along the border with Mexico, starting to unwind Obamacare, freezing hiring in the federal workforce, and perhaps most provocatively, placing a temporary ban on visitors from 7 predominantly Muslim countries, which had the effect of putting a hold on a plan that would have brought about 100 Syrian refugees to Rutland. Bill Mensch, a local school teacher, explained why he was out at the roundabout and taking part in the demonstration.
You know, it's not for any political reasons. It is for behavioral reasons that we're seeing in the government right now. And have never really, no, I've never protested before. And I feel like I might be out many weekends right now. I'd just like to see the people in Washington govern, which means discussing things, coming to sometimes a compromise, at least explaining a position. And right now I'm seeing things push through that frighten me. I'm seeing behaviors that I would not allow in my classroom.
Cherise Madigan, one of the people taking part in the day's demonstration, has founded a Facebook group known as Manchester Can for Community Action Network, and she told us why she was out at the roundabout that day.
So hopefully we can show some solidarity with the national movements happening across the country, showing some resistance to actions like the Dakota Access and Keystone XL pipelines, the refugee resettlement policies and the immigration policies, and everything else that's happened this week that is distressing to a lot of the people in our country, and especially a lot of Vermonters here in Manchester. So we're a pretty small community, but we want to make sure that we can show that we have a voice, we have some power, and that we're showing solidarity with the groups that really need our love and support right now. So we're trying to stay positive and stay peaceful, but hopefully organize a bit more as a community with the Community Action Network coming soon. So.
This land is my land, California.